AMT's 1960 Ford Starliner Custom. Coming up next on Monster Hobbies, what's in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in this box?
What's in the box?
Hello once again, Monster Hobbies fans. Are you ready to see another great unboxing on this wonderful channel that you subscribe to? Well, I sure hope so, because today I got a special treat. This is the 1960 Ford Starliner Custom from AMT Ertl. Very cool kit. I remember when this one was new. In fact, I bought this when this was new, so you're looking at the first edition of this kit ever made by AMT. And I know that Round 2 has re-released this thing with some more nostalgic artwork, which is really, really cool. So keep in mind that this is the predecessor to the modern kit, but we are going to look at it. However, before we do, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Click the notification bell so that every time we do a brand new What's in the Box, you don't get to miss out on seeing the contents of this thing. And let's get this video up to 100 likes so that it catches on into the Google feed world and more people can see it and share it and enjoy this video as you are right now. So without further ado, let's go down and open up the lid on this beauty and see what's in the box. So slip back into the time machine and let's go all the way back to 1960 as we unbox the Ford Starliner Coupe by AMT. Okay, just gonna wait, let's show you the box. So this is of course from 2001, and as you can see the box art is very simple. This is from the Round 2 days, or RC2, sorry. And as you can see, like, there's the side, rear 3/4 and the front 3/4, and a little bit of detail inside. Skill level 2 kit, ages 10 and up. Very simple. So taking the lid off the box, we'll look at these parts in a minute. I'll just move that and look at the instructions here. So this was a Christmas present for my wife in 2003 when we were like first married. Oh, those were the days. Anyway. Okay, let me just zoom back a little. Let's get the full scope of these instructions. So as you can see here, this is a nice multi-part engine with all the components all exploded out. Very much like the Monogram kits. You've got your cylinder heads in the piston chambers, and of course you have your rocker up there in the cylinder heads. Sorry, I got a bit of the flu. It's weird kind of flu. It's not sneezing, but it's like all my muscles are congested. It really hurts. Anyway, you got this nice tri-carburetor manifold and system. Really cool. Thunderbird valve covers. AMT really put in a lot of effort in this era to make these model kits fantastic, because they were competing against Tamiya Japan and Revell and Monogram. It's sort of a wave that was going on back in this time period. So really, really good. Actually, this might be pre-RC2. Can't quite remember. Like I say, got the flu. And in here they give you all the paint color combinations. So if the overall body was Corinthian white, these are all the accent colors that the car came with. And that sort of thing. Monte Carlo red had black accents, or beige accents, or pale yellow over dark blue. And two-tone interior colors. So very cool. And then of course you get your interior here. And look at how many parts are there. And again, separate molded sidewalls, much like our 59 Ford of last week. Only this is now the new version, where they're doing this for high detail. Oh, boy. Okay, so we've got our suspension here with the upper and lower A-arm type, with our spindles in the center, the upper control arm there, spindle, spring, lower control arm, and of course the perimeter frame. And there again we've got the rear axle differential, so drive shaft differential cover, all the rear springs and the stabilizers, shock mount points. Very good. Let's turn this around to the back. You can see the interior clamshell goes together. It's not really a clamshell. You got an upper and lower gas tank in there. And nice frame, those custom wheels. Then under the hood, separate radiator wall with a separate radiator top, and all your hood latch assemblies, battery, the double radiator hoses, master cylinder. Then we get into the body, how it goes together. See, there's a lot of work there. And I do believe this is the one where they've got the countersinked windshield on the inside of the A-pillars, so when you push it in, the windshield kind of clicks into place, which on most models, earlier models, it doesn't. And then we got our hood detail with hood springs and mirrors and windshield wipers and all the rest, followed by how the back goes together. So again, this is one of those classic engineered, well-designed engineered kits of that era. Now let's go over and look at the individual parts. Alright, so surprise on me, I found out that I actually started to work on this model a little bit, which might not be too bad for a review right now. Anyway, this is the body of the Ford Starliner. Anyway, as you can see, it is a nice molded body. It's got the little hole locations for your door handles and your windshield wipers and antennas and that. I guess the nice thing about this is you could tell there was a sink mark there and a couple sink marks here and here, which of course I'm filling with putty. Some old Tamiya gray putty that I no longer have. You can see the nice ridge detail in the side panel here. Good place for your bare metal foil. It's got the nice little 3 stars going up on the roof pillars. So if you turn it over, you can see they've got the upholstery pattern in the headliner here, as well as the dome light and your sun visors, which are molded up, which it's okay. It would be kind of nice if they were molded as separate parts, so you could position them up and down and that sort of thing. But, you know, the fact that they're there is a lot better than them not being there. And then there's 2 pins here in the front and 2 in the rear for mounting your windshield and rear glass. No, it doesn't look like they're countersunk on the pillars inside. I guess I was a little wrong on there. But still, it does make a nice kit. Nice molding. Alright. Now to complete that body, we have of course the hood. It's got a nice little Ford emblem that they were using back in the day, molded into the hood here. And if you flip it over, you can see all the cross beams and stuff underneath. Now these dots here are of course from the mold itself. Whoops. And you'll have to scrape them off. I usually use a number 16 X-Acto blade, sort of the chisel point one. So let's see how this hood fits into our body here. It fits really, really well. It doesn't help that I squeeze there. Okay. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, fit and finish is really nice on there. Let's just slide him forward. There's not too bad of a gap. Of course, if you really look, you can see that this line kind of wavers a bit, because they always mold the hood on the parts tree with the big tab sitting right there. So when you go to cut it off, it's very hard to get that like perfectly to that contour. But, you know, we all do the best we can. So there's the hood on the body. Alright, so now we're going to look at the undercarriage here. And as you can see, there's, again, a lot of really nice crisp detail in here. And if we turn it upside down, or to the other side, you can now see the interior component of this. They have the floor mats there, and of course a nice transmission hump. And if you feel it, there's a mild bit of upholstery for the carpeting sitting there. So what I want to do now is, let's see, show you the seats. And as you can tell, there's quite a lot of nice pleating on there. And if you notice, they will sit onto this back piece nice and well. Now I did glue the front and back seat together. Sounds like we're getting some rain outside. Okay, and then you see that goes in pretty nicely. Then we've got our door panels here. And as you can tell, again, nice crisp casting on the door panels. And you got your window winders and armrests all molded in, which could have been separate parts, but you know, you can get your bare metal foil around them. You see it fits nicely in there, the little pins. Okay. And of course we have the opposite driver's side. And if you look on the back, there's some nice ribs on there to help with the integrity of the part. So just leave there. And then we have a front firewall with all the nice wires and everything going to the heater motors and the horns and that. And again, we see some of that ribbing on the back. This will go right there. And there's a nice fit in between here and here to the front of the engine bay. Then of course we have our dashboard here, and as you can tell, there's a lot of cool instruments on that instrument panel. We got the vents molded in right in there, and your pedals, so you know this is a standard, and that will just sit in there. Goes in to the upholstery on the sides, the door panels, and you notice there's a little groove in there where it's going to sit, which locks in with this, so you get a nice gluable fitting surface. And then we've got our steering column with the old gear shift on the tree, 3 on the tree, whatever. And somewhere is the steering wheel, which we'll discover later. So next up we have the frame of the car, and as you can see, there's a lot of little alignment holes and everything for all the components to fit in. The rear springs here and various other components. And what's nice about this is it's a separate frame. And of course, engine mounts. Separate frame, and there's the rest of the undercarriage of the car. And as you can see here, it clicks in really nicely and tight to the actual chassis, undercarriage, whatever. So yeah, AMT in this era really made some great kits. Have you built some? What do you think of them? I'll be building this later. But anyway, you can see how good that fit and finishes on there. And speaking of undercarriage components, here we have the top and bottom of the gas tank, or the bottom and top of the gas tank, however it goes together. But you can see that they got all the rib detail in here, which is really nice, and the buttons on the top, which one of them would be the fuel gauge sending unit and that sort of thing. Then if we look over here, we've got the A-arms and our steering linkage, and of course the stabilizer bar for the front suspension piece. And these are the hood hinges. And again, very, very nice. Now I think this was where the hood was mounted. Something in there like that, eh? But anyway, not too important. So now we have the rear axle here and the differential cover, the little Ertl logo, a drive shaft, and some of the underhood components. As you can see on the differential here, this is upside down actually. Let's just turn it around. There. Oh, and this is the battery, and these are license plate shrouds. So anyway, there's a lot of detail on the differential cover, little ribs and bolts and things. And then on the differential itself, it has the brake cable lines going out to the rear wheels. So highly detailed, a lot of good effort going into this model kit. Okay, so now we're looking at the components here. Some are from under the hood, like these wires here, or fuel lines, or whatever they are. Radiator hose, another hose. Now here you've got your springs and your upper A-arms, and those spindles there. And we notice we got four-wheel drum brakes on here, which is true to the actual real car, and some wheel retainers there. But the detail on these brake backings are very, very nice. They've got the two things in here and all the rest. So really good stuff. So now we have the sprue with our engine components on it. And I made a mistake in the video a little earlier. I said it was a tri-carb option. You actually have two. You got the big dual 4 barrels and the 3 2-barrel carburetors. So you've got your choice of either one, and the other one could make a pretty nice display on its own. So starting over here, actually it's interesting how they laid this out. So here is the bottom of the air cleaner for the tri-carbs, and here's the 3 carburetors here. Okay, and that's the top of the 3 carburetors. Over here we've got the bottom of the 3 carburetors where they're going to mount into here. So interesting how they did that. Now here we got the 2 4-barrel carburetors and the 4-barrel intake manifold, pardon me, and then the bottom of the 4-barrel carburetors are over here. And then of course we've got the intake manifold with the tri-carbs here. And now these are the big headers that they have on the engine for your exhaust. And then we get into the cylinder heads, the oil pan. Not sure what these are. Anyway, starter motor and that kind of stuff, right? Then the timing chain cover, the water pump, distributor, oil filter, what do you call it? Where you pour the oil in. Boy, I'm really bad today. Fan belts, the top of the radiator, the bottom of the radiator with nice detail, and of course the left and right hand sides of the engine block. So that is all the under the hood parts. This sprue contains the springs and the shock absorbers for the rear. This sprue contains the exhaust to the rear mufflers, the shift linkage for the transmission, and the stabilizers, or the shock absorber spring things, for the rear axle. So next we'll take a look at the chrome parts tree, which is really well done. We've got our rear bumper and the rear insert, the front bumper, the front grille, windshield wipers, door handles, the American 5-star mag wheels, the Thunderbird valve covers. Now there's 2 sets here. One has Thunderbird written on it, and the other one is just left blank. There's the exhaust lake pipes. Then we have a column shifter, which is mounted on the floor, and the air cleaner, and then of course the custom steering wheel, chrome fan, a couple more latches, the mirror bits, and somewhere on here should be, I don't see them, but they should have actual reflectors for those mirrors. Maybe you see them on there, I don't. Oh, and I think that's an antenna there. Next up, we have the glass components, and I think this bent. It was still warm from the factory, and when they, took it off the tree, it bent up a little. But this is the front windshield. This is the back piece of glass, and you get your quad headlights in there, which was popular back in that era. Now we get into the tires. And these are pretty cool ones. I remember when these came out. I think it was about 1998, if I remember right. But the kit they came with was the retooled Ford Fairlane, 1966 Ford Fairlane. And these are the Firestone wide oval tires that they came out with back then. It's nice to see them in this kit. These ones have a groove in here, so if you want to have red line tires, red wall tires, you can paint red paint in there and then wipe it off, and the red will stick in that groove, which is pretty nice. And they have a, I don't know if I can pick this up, right there. Nice tread pattern there on the sides, sort of the wavy tread pattern. And of course, you can't really make it out too well, but there's the wide oval part there, and Firestone on this end, and a bunch of the wheel details, tire details. So these were really nice tires back in the day, because all AMT had sort of prior to this was the BF Goodrich tires that kind of looked more like off-road tires, but the standard one was the Goodyear Polyglass GTs, and those are in almost every AMT kit if you needed wide tires. So when they brought out the Firestone wide oval in this, it was like a revolution in AMT model car tires, of the time. So nice to see these in this kit as well. Then finally, molded in red plastic, are the two rear taillights, which is interesting because the back end of this has 4 red taillights, but they only had 2 in the kit. Okay, well, looking at the box art here, I guess they're not really meant to be 4 red taillights. It's just somebody painted the backup lights red. So, yeah, okay. AMT was right by molding in 2. And finally, we get these 3 sets of license plates. Now the top ones look like they're bicentennial ones, which is a little bit strange considering that this is 1960 and the bicentennial was in 1976. And yeah, I'm a Canadian and I know that. But anyway, so then you could always build a car that's like 16 years older and put these on it, I guess. Then there are some Colorado plates, the GA-1016, and New York ones, BAJ263. So this is what you get in the kit. And that will conclude our review of the AMT 1960 Ford Starliner Custom. Well, I hope you enjoyed that wonderful review of the 1960 Ford Starliner by AMT, the Custom Edition. I always wanted the stock edition in this year, but I never actually was able to afford one, because it was sort of one of those kits where some hobby shops had it and then some had this, and then when you wanted to go to the one that you thought had the stock one, you came across this one and vice versa. So it was kind of a hard one to track in the day. But I do believe Round 2 has re-released this thing, so maybe I'll try to get it again under the new Round 2 version. But anyway, you don't want to miss the next video coming up. We're going to be taking a look at the 1960 Chevy Custom Fleet Side. How do I know that? Because I've got it on the table over there. But you won't be able to see it till next week. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family. Click that notification bell because you don't want to miss seeing the 1960 Chevy by AMT. That'll be next week, but you won't know unless it gets notified right in your YouTube box. So keep that in mind. Like, subscribe, and share, of course, again. If I said that 3 times, I don't know. I can't remember now. But I do know what I haven't said. Let's get this thing up to 100 likes so that everybody can see this video in their Google feed when they type in 60 Ford Starliner Custom. And on that note, we will see you next week.